All right. Hello, all you awesome gals. Welcome to Wellness Wednesday. I hope you guys have had a great week so far. And, I think it's a really a good thing to talk about today. I'm going to jump into the topic uh, in just a moment after I give my disclaimer, but um, we've got to talk about Hashimoto's again. And so let's just get into the disclaimer while we wait for a few more ladies to jump on. And like I said, I hope that, man, I think it's winter. I think we're starting to get into some. It's got the fire going behind me. I mean, I'm all comfy. We gotta warm up here. It's starting to get chilly. So, um, all right, this information that I'm sharing with you tonight is is not intended to be health advice, but it is only health information. Please do not start taking or stop taking or change the way you're taking any of your medications unless you really feel like you have to. Please first start consult with your prescribing practitioners so that they can help you do that safely. And you know, by attending this Wellness Wednesday, this does not establish a doctor-patient relationship. Okay, I think I covered everything. Okay, very good. I was talking with a perspective. Well, I was reviewing, just like I do in the master class, I was reviewing tests with a patient just yesterday. And for some reason, what she said, it just hit me really hard because it seems to be such a common thread among a lot of you ladies that have hypothyroidism. She said that she would, and she noticed this over the summer. She would try to go out and work in the garden, which she loves to do, and which she's, been used to doing for her whole life. She's been doing this, but she was only able to get about maybe 30 minutes into it, and then she was just exhausted, and had to come inside and just rest. And for her, this has started happening just over the last few weeks. But as I delve deeper into this symptom for her, it has been getting worse and worse over the last couple of years. And again, this struck me as just something that is so common, this fatigue, this easy fatigability, low stamina, whatever you want to call it. The way I see it, and as we go into those tests, go into those labs, we see a lot of low testosterone, which is responsible for decreased muscle tone and strength. And so here we have, a problem with decreased stamina, decreased energy because of low testosterone. And so, well, what's causing that? A very common symptom, once again, is poor sleep, contributing to poor energy, certainly, but poor sleep, where a lot of you deal with, early waking, and you can't go back to sleep. And certainly this causes low energy during the day. This may cause you to wake up with no energy or very little energy. It may, you may wake up okay, but then throughout the day, it's just, it goes. A lot of you ladies deal with brain fog, which can be characterized by so many different things. I covered this in depth last Wednesday. But just to recharacterize this a little bit: poor concentration, poor short-term memory. Maybe you're having trouble coming up with words. Maybe you have difficulty engaging fully in conversation, or you're forgetting names. You're forgetting why you walk into a room. Just having some, and they may not happen very often. Maybe these symptoms are maybe it's just trouble thinking clearly during the day. Maybe it's worse at certain times of the day. Maybe it's cyclical. Maybe it's worse after a meal. And then a lot of you ladies complain of not being able to lose the weight. So weight gain as a real problem. And I'm going to talk about kind of the ebb and flow of these symptoms, not so much with weight gain, but with at least the fatigue and, just whether it's being tired during the day or going okay until you just hit that wall at, say, like 3, 4 o'clock, maybe earlier. But you kind of hit that wall, or anytime you exert yourself where you thought you think in your mind, and you're young, 60, 65, you're young, where you think you can go do your workout out in the yard, and it just becomes it becomes a real chore. You have to really talk yourself into finishing the chore, and then when you're done, you're done for the next day. And so this happens a lot. I hear this so much. As maybe you have these cycles where you have good days for a stretch, and then you have just a stretch of days where your energy is really bad, really poor. Or like I said, the brain fog is worse, or maybe your sleep is worse. We need to talk about Hashimoto's, because this is a disease causing, it's the number one cause of hypothyroidism. I covered this in the master class, but I felt like I needed to go into a little more detail and describe this process and why these symptoms are like this when you have this problem, or why you need to maybe suspect that you have this problem, even though you're not being tested for it. And I'll get into that later. But because of these symptom cycles, we'll call them, we have to suspect Hashimoto's. This is defined as you having particular antibodies toward thyroid tissues, towards TPO, thyroid peroxidase enzyme in your thyroid gland, or an antibody toward thyroglobulin, which is made by the thyroid gland to it's like the thyroid hormone packaging. All right. So it's if you have either one of those antibodies or both, then that is the definition of Hashimoto's. So this is not a primary hypothyroid problem. This is not a primary thyroid issue, because it stems from the gut and your immune system. That's where it starts, actually. And it can start with other things too. It can start with triggers for your immune system very early on, like Epstein-Barr virus. Talked with a patient today who had mono. I've talked with many patients that who have had mono early, or like in their teenage years, and this virus, mononucleosis, this condition caused by Epstein-Barr virus, hangs around. It stays dormant in your system. You get you get this reactivated sometimes, and this becomes a real stress and strain on the immune system. And so it can cause problems throughout your life. And because of the immune system modulation that it causes, this can in fact cause Hashimoto's. Okay, so we need to look at autoimmune issues kind of in general. I'll list off a few specific things, but So lupus, we've all heard of lupus. Multiple sclerosis is an autoimmune process. Sjogren's, rheumatoid arthritis. One that came up recently would be like Crohn's, ulcerative colitis. These are all autoimmune issues. So what is this? What is this process? Autoimmunity usually is defined by the presence of certain antibodies in your bloodstream that are there because the immune system got irritated by something, or it reacted to something that looked very similar to your body's proteins. And we've found with Hashimoto's a link, interestingly enough, with gluten and that protein being similar to a thyroid protein. Now, this is just new in research. This is within probably the last maybe 3 or 4 years only. So when your immune system is triggered by something, and this can be from leaky gut, where and I've done a Wellness Wednesday on this. You really probably ought to go back and review that, where undigested particles, food particles, they leak through gaps in your intestinal lining right into the bloodstream. That causes an immune reaction right then and there sometimes, or that goes to the liver and causes inflammation and an immune reaction there. So if you have immune triggers and you have hypothyroidism, that really should tip you off to the notion that you got to be checked for Hashimoto's. So let's talk about these immune triggers again. I went over these in the master class, but I want to review them again, just some of them, so that you have a better context for what we're talking about today. So immune triggers would be like foods that you're sensitive to. Certainly these, the 5 foods that I've really harped on: gluten and grains, soy, corn, which we know is a grain, but we often just, most people think of it as a vegetable, dairy and sugar, fructose, right? So these all can trigger the immune system to get mad and take it out on the thyroid if you have thyroid antibodies that act as tags or targets. And that's why the immune system destroys the thyroid gland and the carriers, the packaging for the thyroid hormones. And I'm going to get into why that causes symptoms in a minute, and why those symptoms ebb and flow. There are other triggers like other infections, so viral infections, bacterial infections, parasite infections, yeast infections, and then certainly insulin surges can trigger the immune system. Toxins like biotoxins, mold and Lyme, and parasite toxins separate from parasites, fish toxins, venoms, things like that. Chemicals, including heavy metals, and even bad forms of these nutrients, bad forms of these elements that, especially iodine, that itself can, I've got a really noisy fly flying above me. Sorry about that. These elements that may not be in the best forms for our body. And so they cause the immune system to kind of go, sorry, not today. And it just, it causes an immune response, because the iodine is very much a part of your thyroid hormone. It's what mostly constitutes thyroid hormone, that and the amino acids that it's bound to. And then we We need to think about hormones and hormone surges. Those are immune triggers. So had a person today taking way too much progesterone, and her progesterone levels were well above what they should be, really causing an imbalance there. Certainly that's going to be an immune trigger, right? So you get the idea. Things that our body, things that throw off the balance in our bodies that trigger the immune system when there are antibodies toward any tissue of our bodies, whether it's like I said, the antibodies that cause lupus, the antibodies that cause MS, the antibodies that cause Sjogren's, the antibodies that cause rheumatoid arthritis, these or Hashimoto's, right? These tissues then get the brunt of the attack when the immune system is upset. And so that doesn't happen consistently. It happens in cycles. It happens from time to time. And so that's why when your immune system flares and gets mad and goes after the thyroid, well, then you have changes in thyroid hormone levels, which causes changes in metabolic function, which causes changes in cellular function. It impacts the inflammation, and therefore you're going to have symptoms. You're going to have cycling symptoms, and it's annoying, right? It's maddening. It's why while I describe it sometimes as a battle going on inside, because you don't know what's going on in there, and sometimes it's really hard to predict and control, and you don't leave the house, and this can affect bowel function. This can affect, like I said, brain function. So you don't want to socialize, and it's so intermittent and unpredictable that you withdraw yourselves. You tell your doctors about this. They say you have depression. And so obviously it must be a Prozac deficiency, right? No. So Hashimoto's, understanding what's causing it, knowing how to fix it. Let's talk about why the symptoms kind of cycle as well. So when you have changing levels of thyroid hormone, you're going to have changes in TSH, because it's not going to, be consistent, and the TSH can go up and down and up and down. So your doctors will change your dose. They'll catch you. You'll do a lab test. They'll catch it really low, because you've got a lot of this extra hormone running around when your Hashimoto's is flaring up and destroying the carriers, the packages, spilling out the hormone everywhere. And so it turns the TSH way down, because that's what it does. When the TSH is up, you have lower levels of hormones, but when you have higher levels of hormones, that turns the TSH down. And so your doctor freaks out, says you don't need as much medicine because you're hyperthyroid. That's not true. All right. I can't tell you how frustrated I get when patients come back and tell me, yeah, my doctor lowered my medication again because my TSH was too low. And I ask, well, were you, still having trouble with energy and fatigue? Yeah. Were you able to lose weight? No. Were you, were you having problems with digestion, constipation? Yeah. There's, dry skin, hair falling out. Yeah. Like they're still having low thyroid symptoms. You can't have it both ways, even with palpitations. And this is confusing, so I won't get too deep into it. But even palpitations can be caused by low thyroid and low adrenal function resulting from low thyroid. Okay. It's not always a heart issue. Please understand this. But they decide to lower the dose anyway. And so what happens? You feel even worse. Fatigue comes back even worse. It's so maddening. Like I said, it's frustrating, and you really have no control over this. So this yo-yo that you're, kind of experiencing, is caused more by the Hashimoto's and the immune system triggers that just have to be discovered and controlled. All right. So why don't doctors test for Hashimoto's? I have to remind people that the only tool that doctors have is thyroid hormone replacement. And if that's their only tool, if they test for Hashimoto's and you're positive, that doesn't change the fact that you need or don't need thyroid hormone. You may not even need it. That can be possible, but it won't change what they do with that tool. They just won't do it. There's nothing else that it tells them, because they're not looking for these triggers. They're not looking for reasons why you have this. All they want is to stabilize you. All they want is to make sure your TSH remains normal. And it's not even a thyroid test. TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, is a brain test. For some of you new ladies on here, this might be news to you, but TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, is only a brain test. So that's why they do this, and they don't do anything about it. That's why some of them are very hesitant to even check for Hashimoto's. And for us, if we're trying to find the root causes, we need to know. We need to know what these triggers are. If you have it, we need to know how to solve those triggers. So we've got to test for them. See what the doctors don't test for it, because it doesn't change their management. You need to know so that you can address the right issues. Right? All right. To recap a little bit, I know a lot of you are dealing with these symptoms. A lot of you are dealing with the cycles of these symptoms, and it's frustrating and even maddening. It's likely this autoimmune issue, Hashimoto's. It's made worse by the immune system triggers, and that's what keeps it going and going. And you're up and down on this yo-yo, right? And if we can test through comprehensive testing to see what those triggers are, see if you even have Hashimoto's, do all the right thyroid tests, not just a couple of them, but test all the right thyroid markers and find out what your immune system triggers are, then you're further along the path to getting well, because those can be treated and your body can heal itself. All right. So that's what I want to leave you guys with. Remember, there is hope. There are answers, and you still have the power to heal. So let's get going on that path. All right, ladies, have a great evening and take care. Really quick, I was just told we may have some questions. I'm okay with taking a couple questions if you have them. Let's do that. Oh, it's more of a comment. Okay, that's okay. If you do have questions, put them in the comments. All right, and I'll get to them later on. A lot of times questions are real personal, so that's okay. It's probably better off that we just answer them personally. So, all right, ladies, have a good evening, and we'll talk to you soon. And see you next week for sure. Wellness Wednesday. Bye now.